We have nothing.
I know. Well, it was supposed to be a budget meeting.
Whose house?
Guys, you want to put your on buttons on?
No.
Okay.
You'll hear us what we
Is it
say.
up or down?
Up is on.
Up and
It
on.
was on. Was on.
Up is
Only
on.
one? Yeah.
I guess.
What's up?
Okay.
In any case, before I even start, I just want to say this meeting is I was a little bit worried about this happening because I wasn't here for a chunk of last month. But there was nobody to really make sure that we got the information that we needed. I talked to Margaret today, and she called me up, and she can't make it today. She was supposed to make it today and was going to have tried to get the spreadsheet for last year and in the form that we could adjust it for next year, the way we've done it in previous years when we're doing the budget. In any case, she's going to try to get a hold of that. I'll contact Stephen and Sonia at the management company here and try to get both her and I to try to get that package if we can. And, you know, the problem is right now I'm not supposed to send it directly to you, but we'll see what happens. But I did have Shannon in our office forwarded you some documents, which are numbers. They're not laid out in exactly the way we're used to seeing them when we get our little, spreadsheets. But nevertheless, it's just something to familiarize with you to some extent. And the thing that's good about the one is that it actually is an actual for what was done in the first 6 months of the fiscal year, okay? So the numbers, so we'll have something real to work with when we're trying to project out the rest of this year and then adjust off of that. With that said, I'll start the meeting formally just to get it going. All right. Today's date is May 8th. It's 3:05 p.m. We have myself, Joe McCulca, J.T. Thomas, Janice Lancaster, Tom Roller, Warren Davies, Angela Sullivan. We are missing Virginia Stacy, who had to be out of town. This is the Gateway Services Advisory Committee meeting, and we'll call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum, and there's no audience or anything, and we don't even have much of an agenda because it was supposed to be a budget meeting. In any case, I don't suppose any of you actually printed up any of this information, but
You have copies?
I have for myself, you know.
I read over it, so I thought when we showed up today that we were discussing it, we would already have copies, but these are, you said the basic copies from Shannon, but there's supposed to be a bigger report from Margaret?
Well, not a bigger report. There'll be something that Margaret will have that will be formatted a little bit differently, that allows us, if you were here for the budget last year, do you
Yes.
remember how we did that?
I just wanna know which one we should
Yeah, I don't
really
think
focus on.
Margaret was here last year, but we did it by hand. And it is more of a spreadsheet format that compares last year actual and then projected for next year. And don't have it, so. In any case, let me see if I can get them to make me some copies of this. Would it?
So when we do get it, how much time do we have?
We usually try to knock it off in one day.
Okay,
You know, because we've done this so many times now, there's not too many surprises. Basically, it comes down to a discussion. We go down through it line by line and say, yeah, that was good, that wasn't good. Or see what the actuals have been for the first 6 months, using that, trying to think what we might need for next year. Because we can't change the second 6 months, but we can kind of get a feel for where it's heading.
and the
And if
best
you
way to do that
remember,
is if we had the one from Margaret too, right? 'Cause we're
well, the
comparing-
Margaret's numbers will be the same, but it'll be formatted differently.
Oh, I misunderstood, okay. Format's just different.
Let me say this, that some of the line items, but we're aware of it as we're going through, we'll discuss it. The way it hits the annual timing of the budget, some of it, more of it gets spent at the end of the year, and more of it gets spent early in the year. So we know that, those numbers are distorted at that point in time. It's not like way out of whack maybe. But seems like every year there's a couple of surprises, whether it's water, electricity, or something. With that said, she's gonna make some
Yeah,
copies.
she's taking them now, bring it to us.
Okay.
Can I bring something up? It's off the budget.
Go ahead.
Community maintenance came out, did the pressure washing,
Yes.
which I think they did a great job.
Yeah, they were out there 2 or 3 times, you know, I mean, over the next 2 or 3 days working on
Right.
it.
Are they supposed to do the little downstretch on Bluestone since there's no houses there? You know,
No.
you got that gap.
Actually, we've never.
I know we never have, and I
actually
thought to
dwelled on
myself,
it.
that, because it's pretty bad right now.
What happens is, because, I don't know if you people know it or not, but.
But do they manage that
Let me
portion?
finish, they are a lot cheaper than the previous company is.
Right.
No, I don't know, thank you.
The original from,
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you.
What was the final cost on doing the Devil's Brook on the sidewalks?
Sidewalks and the rain gutters,
Yeah.
or the curbing. I don't have it yet,
Okay.
but I would,
It
it
was
looked like it was
substantially
gonna
lower than
be,
before.
absolutely, it was gonna be like 1250, less than 1,300, 1250, 1275. And of course, there's no sales tax because we passed through here.
And,
And where I was gonna suggest, you know, the next time we do it, maybe we talk about that. Because these guys don't have that big piece of equipment that goes around. Remember, one of the issues we've had previously was around the bend. Go beyond the crosswalks a little bit to get
Right,
around the
right,
bend.
yeah.
Because there's a gap between people's houses start and our kind of
They didn't do that
responsibility.
again this year either.
No, they didn't, because we didn't help them to. When,
It wasn't in the contract?
no, because the original
Never is.
contract was with the other company who said, I'd have to charge you a lot more than that because we'd go around the bend. And one of the reasons it got done so much later than it was supposed to be done was they had a falling out with the other company. These guys were contacted and they did it. Now, we found out about it late in the cycle. It wasn't like we knew it, so no, there were no contracts changes made. But next time, if they're gonna be that much more reasonable, then we could consider possibly paying the extra money if necessary to go around those corners.
how far do they go around the corners?
They don't.
They
Well, I
go
mean,
around,
how far would they?
Right
They're
where, right where the property line is.
yeah, that's what we would ask for. Because then from that point on, it's the responsibility of the homeowner. Now, what they are supposed to do is go around to the crosswalks. So that, you know, at the point where the crosswalk is, that the sidewalk there will be cleaned and the rain gutter should be cleaned.
So then who is responsible from that strip of Bluestone?
No.
Essentially, no. The way it's worked out. If I lived there, I would take care of it myself.
No, we're talking,
Oh,
we're
Bluestone,
talking this right here.
we've never done it. I don't know.
Cause I went past it today, or yesterday, and I noticed how bad it is.
No, I'm sure it is.
Well,
the residents-
you're not doing the other side of the road either.
Well, that's asphalt.
No, there's sidewalk on the other side down.
Yeah, but that's in front of people's houses.
No, it isn't. Not,
Where are you talking
between
about?
across the street from Pebblebrook. You've got sidewalk between,
You mean right here?
yeah, you've got sidewalk between the asphalt and the property line.
Maybe we've already we need to
You've
start.
got
We gotta get
sidewalks there
The
that
next
have never been done.
contract, yeah, okay,
Right there.
yeah.
And you gotta make sure when
The
you.
next
So from the
contract, you gotta
asphalt
get a
to
little
the
bit
Perkins
more,
Yard. I agree.
yeah. I don't argue with that either. And keep in mind, also part of it was cost before we were concerned about. But at this point in time, we now, because this last contract was gonna cost us like $2,200 to do what they did last year. And so, you know, at $1,200, $1,300, if we have to pay $1,500, $1,600, $1,700, it'd be worth it to get those extra areas done.
We have to remember to get it done after the pollination.
Which I think they.
Actually,
This
what
time
happened-
we
We got
lucked
pretty close
out.
this time,
This
yeah.
time we lucked out. Last year we did not luck out.
last year we did not.
Yeah, it was messed up the following week or
Major,
something like that.
major.
Very close.
Has it been ever discussed, I'm a new guy.
About doing it twice a year?
No, well, that would be
Because
good
that's
on
what
that,
we're
but-
supposed to be doing.
But doing all the sidewalks, that would be about 8 miles of sidewalks.
We talked to the previous company, and they were talking $10,000–12,000.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, yeah,
and
I
in
knew
our
it'd be
documents,
expensive,
yeah.
I just wondered what the cost per mile but I think there's that would save some argument in some places, but if, between the options, I'd rather go twice a year, because that.
And also keep in mind, you got sidewalk on one side, and then you're going across people's driveways, and it gets a little.
Well, the sidewalk still goes through the driveway.
Yeah, I know.
No, no, there's a lot of people that have brick pavers that.
Well, that's because they were allowed to expand through the driveway. The
Right.
sidewalk is still through the driveway.
And Lennar set that standard when they put brick pavers in
Yeah,
anyway.
that's fine, but it's
Okay,
still a
so they
sidewalk
couldn't
going through
turn
the
other people
driveway.
down.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Which it looks nicer.
It
Oh,
does.
no, no, I'm not saying that, I'm saying.
But I'm just
it's
saying,
still
if we start,
responsible,
if we
still
start
goes-
going around, down the separate streets, it's gonna.
Yeah,
a lot of
okay,
issues.
I understand that, I just wondered, it had been discussed, but I think going twice a year, especially in some of the spots, especially between Greenstone and Pebblestone, that area right through there, they can clean that every day, and they're not gonna get all those stains out.
Most people that have the sidewalks, like I just got mine done
Yeah,
about a month ago, I did my sidewalks.
Yeah.
Majority of people I see that when they do their driveways, they do the sidewalks.
but some people don't come from areas that they do that. Where I come from, you're responsible for the sidewalk and the tree lawn, even though it belongs to somebody else. Because that's just, it's like the cutting grass, you have to cut the grass to the high water mark. But how much of that do you own, that high water mark?
I cut behind my house to the berm. I don't own between the berm and the trees. I cut it, I maintain it, I fertilize, because if I didn't, nobody else is gonna do it.
Well, they come down there about 90 miles an hour, about once or twice a month, and
On the
just
on
don't
the
get
berm
away.
itself you're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah. Well, that's it, that's our landscapers do that,
Yeah.
they go up on that berm, so.
A little bit.
Yeah.
JT, can I ask you a question? How bad does it look on Bluestone? I'll go down there.
Well, then there's a couple black olive trees on there, so it's pretty bad.
So this area has.
It's not, I don't have to go down there. On the way home, just take a look on your right.
I'm not gonna say never, I don't know that for a fact.
So my question is, if we saved a lot of money by using community maintenance, they can also do bits and pieces, because they do individual houses all the time.
Yeah,
Why
they're-
can't we, instead of waiting 6 months
Yeah.
or whatever for another contract, get them out there now to fix this problem right now that we can now do, because we're
Part
not
of
worried
the
about the
cost,
machine?
part of the cost of getting these guys out there to us is to get all their people and their equipment out there to do
Previously.
it. My point is though that, once they're there, to expand another half a day or something, it's not that big a deal, so the cost will go up more proportionally. But if you bring them out to just do a small area, you're gonna pay dearly for that, I would think,
I
anyway.
wouldn't think so. If
I don't-
he-
I don't think so,
I
because he
think
does a
wants-
lot for the community.
He does
I
a
would
lot
think-
for us, and we'd
Yeah.
say, hey, we got a bit job for you,
He's
and
doing our
so give us a bit on this
association,
section.
and he's doing
He
a
does my
lot of
house.
residential, he does my house.
I think,
You know, it'd be like doing a house for a day or whatever.
Well,
I
we
think we
probably
need to
got the
be-
budget to do it, we can talk about it.
I mean, I'm thinking, is
And-
it $300, is it $500?
if we're
Because
gonna, yeah.
that's what an
yeah.
average house would take him a day or morning to do.
Probably wouldn't take them that long, because
I'm guessing.
we've
but I'm
watched
thinking
them
it's
going
worth
up
it.
and down our Stone Valley there all the time. We've used them, they do a great job, and they don't waste no time. He's got, well, he comes out to ours, he uses 2 trucks and about 4 guys. And boy,
This
they
is
got a
doing their
system.
driveways,
No,
right?
this is
Driveways
good
and sidewalks
sidewalks,
and
yeah.
gutters.
They don't have any sidewalks so far.
They don't
We don't
do
have
gutters.
sidewalks. We're rural.
That's right.
This is rural Stone Valley.
That's right. Forgot the other
Well,
side of the street.
But I think,
They don't do gutters.
yes, they do.
Wow.
They do, they did them. They did the gutters. I watched them, I followed them around.
The rain gutters in the street you're talking.
Huh?
Maybe.
The rain gutters in the street.
Street, yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah,
gutter.
yeah, they don't do the house.
Yeah, I
But
thought you might misunderstand.
The one thing if we're gonna use them, I think we need to make that decision and get them on the calendar. Once you get them on the calendar, you're gonna be a lot better off, because that's how we may even get a better deal. That's how we're doing our roofs now. We paid a chunk to get them done, but now we're paying probably less than 50% of what we were paying before to have them done every year during rainy season. Because they need the jobs, and they gave us a good deal, and that was getting them.
Well, we had talked last year about having it done twice this year. And it was supposed to get done initially the first time, like last year in the beginning of the dry season. So in theory, we would have that whole dry season, it wouldn't be bad, it would look good. And then at the end, after the trees dropped all their junk, we'd do it again. As it turned out, it never happened last fall. That's something we can do. I'm open to recommendations as to when we think we should do it, if we're gonna do it twice a year.
Well, my question would be to back up too, we just had, like, the process took almost 3 months because of the confusion and the mess up the other company. So instead of waiting till the next contract, I think my point was to try to see if we could just get a bid to finish that one area. And then, I guess, what do we wait, every 6 months for the next one?
No, you gotta wait till the pollen is
Yeah.
done, and
What
that's
date
not
was it
every
actually
6
done?
months.
Like,
Last week. 2
okay,
weeks
so we're not
ago,
that far off, we
sometimes.
could just
Yeah,
get that
couple
other
stuff,
area
yeah.
done, it's not like we need to wait.
Yeah.
That would be my.
No, we'd be in some sort of cycle there. I think what we need to do, and keep in mind, we don't write and agree, and we don't sign the contract, these guys do.
Right.
We make a suggestion, and we need them to handle that.
Do we need to make a suggestion in writing to say that here's the measurements of what we would like to
Well,
get a
we
bid
can
on?
do it right now just by simply, if someone wants to make a motion to, it'll be picked up on the camera, be in the minutes, someone wants to make a motion that we approach whatever the name of the company is to do additional work. And,
Specifically on Bluestone?
That's it.
Bluestone, and
Specifically
then,
on
and then
Bluestone.
what Tom suggested, doing that.
The part we could
25
never do
feet
before.
probably.
Mm.
Because
no, I
the
don't think it's even that much. On some, it's gonna vary from street to street depending upon where the crosswalks were. Because some crosswalks are further set back because how the walk goes.
What, you don't wanna go just to the crosswalk, you wanna go to the property line.
I agree, but I'm saying some, with the crosswalks were further back. It's been done to the track,
They've
so.
already done it to the crosswalk.
Yeah,
But you want both sides of the street done though, not just,
yeah, on the rain gutters, yeah, I agree.
no, you want sidewalks done on both sides of the street.
When,
Okay, I see what you're
The
saying.
curves on the west side and the straight line between the asphalt and the property line on the east side.
now, when the original contract was written for these other people, did someone from the board go out and meet with them and show them what they wanted done, or was that done by these,
In years past, keep in mind, we were using that one company for several years, and they
Yeah, well, and that was, yeah.
kicked some of that work off to somebody else,
Yeah.
and then apparently there was a falling out. But, yeah, initially we did.
I think any contract that we, like this, we need to have one of us out there, because we know what we wanna do, they don't.
Mhm.
Say, we wanna do this, okay,
I
one of
agree.
us.
I agree. We have to be part of.
Yeah,
the
we have to be
discussion.
part of the solution.
And on the initial contract, we did review it and make modifications to it. And it was, in fact, in one of the contracts, it actually did say go around the corners. And this one company, when we said, you guys didn't go around the corners, that's when they said, oh, I'd have to charge you more for that because my equipment doesn't make it around the corner.
See, that's the difference with community.
Yeah, it's not an issue.
We
Yeah.
have more
Yeah.
flexibility.
Yeah.
And if we can get it done, we need to get it done.
But you don't know how much, you're talking about everybody's sidewalk, right, in the whole community? That's what-
No.
No, that'd be
We're
really.
probably looking
That's
at,
what
to
I-
do the sidewalks and that side where the black asphalt, we're probably looking at 75 feet.
Total. No, then it's more than that.
I was gonna say, I'm looking more.
No,
under-
from where the asphalt is to where that's for the property line, that little piece of sidewalk.
Oh, I see what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
it's probably about 70, because there's some that are only 8
I think
feet
that,
long.
Yeah, because it's not that far. I
Yeah.
agree.
I think
Because of the crosswalk.
at this point, talking about that entrance into Bluestone, I would make a motion to move forward, have Gateway get a proposal to do that sidewalk from, all the way back to the stop sign at, on, Bluestone.
How about I suggest, and someone can say, so moved. Hey, Chris, you got a minute? Boy, that was a
Yeah,
That'll teach you.
Even though we're in here.
That'll
Listen,
teach you.
We're talking about making a motion to have the fellow who cleaned the sidewalk come back out and do a little bit more walk, which was not in the contract. But we'd like to include that in future contracts and possibly sit down and have him, even in the near term, if he has the time, do a couple of things that really do need to be done.
Sure, if you want, give me a info, or get him to come out there and meet with you at the clubhouse.
Sounds like a deal.
I talked to him yesterday on the phone, I mean, it's, yeah.
Ask him to come out.
Yeah,
and
but we
show.
need to come through them though.
Well, all he
Make sure-
has to do with me is just send me a proposal, so if you tell him what you want done, tell him to.
You wanna contact them, we'll meet them,
Yeah.
set up a
Do
time,
you-
let us know.
I know I'm gonna tax your memory, but do you recall what the cost was to have community come out and do those sidewalks this last time?
My guess was in the $1,200 to $1,300 range, which was surprisingly low.
I think it was about that, and when you had Premier do it the year before, it was 1,900.
Yeah, and they were talking like 22 this year, right, something like that.
Yeah, he was like 50% cheaper.
Yeah, and they did a
40,
good job,
yeah.
they did a good job.
They did, we were happy with that.
He does a good job, and he does a lot of maintenance-related things, or if there was something he wanted him to do.
Well, he does stuff around our property already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very
So-
familiar with Stoneybrook, especially with the residents too.
So, you know, and we're happy with them, because we'd like to actually, for next year, rewrite the contract to include these additional things that the other company really didn't want to be bothered with.
Yeah, just, like I said, just tell him what you want done, and he'll put a proposal together,
And I
and
think
send
that's
it to
what we
me
need
and
to
the
do.
dates you want it done, and you might ask him.
So
when's
that,
the
and
best
that's
time
you
to
the
do it.
proposal.
Yeah, because of, you were mentioning you don't like to have it done until the berries drop.
Well, that's just it, and you know, and of course, it's a seasonal thing, and then certain trees drop a month later, and you know, it gets
Yeah.
to be, when's the optimal time? The original plan last year when we were talking about it, as I recall, was that we were gonna get it done in the dry season, early in the dry season. So at least we had the dry season, would be halfway decent, but then one thing happened after another, so it's happening now. When we sit down and talk to them, we'll talk about it. I think twice a year is the way to go. Expand a little bit about what we're doing, because I know one of our complaints is that homeowners, we're not going to the homeowner's property line right now.
Right.
So, and they're responsible in front of their house, so there's a gap there. Now, some people are going, taking care of it themselves, but not everybody is. So we always perpetually have that gap, which tends not to be taken care of. In addition to that, and Angela brought to my attention, I can't believe we never thought about this before, that piece on Bluestone. There's a second note in our documents, it says that homeowners are responsible in front of their house.
Right.
Well, we have that piece along Bluestone,
Right.
that there are no houses,
Homeowners,
that's
right,
straight
it's
away.
just, yeah.
So that hasn't really been done, so we need to include that in what we're responsible for going forward.
Yeah, he could probably do that, and, you know, if you wanna add those sidewalks, 100,000, who knows, you know, it may not even be, worth the money to bother with it down and do it.
You mean all the sidewalks?
Maybe.
Well, I talked to the other guy, of course, that was a different price, right? He was talking 12,000, 10, 12
I don't know,
grand.
something about what we're talking about, just adding it onto the contract and just
You
completely.
could ask
Yeah.
him for a price to do all of it.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do, yeah, I know, going forward, but that would be a new contract, though.
You might look at your residents and say, we'll do the sidewalks next year, add $10 to your assessment,
Yeah.
that might go fine, do
You
it.
think they're gonna want us?
Listen.
We've already been
We
increasing.
we just put new Comcast contracting system in with superior service, saving the country, the residents money while doing it, and they still bitch.
No, I think everyone's happy.
It'll take them a while.
They're upset that the HOA fees went up, but I think in the long run, people are extremely happy that they're saving money.
When it's done, they'll.
Yeah, we told them that, maybe they
I
said
still,
believe us.
I
They didn't
still
believe
get
us.
pixels, and I have one remote that I had to hit twice for it to go on.
So,
We get a new remote.
um,
No, I know.
another thing that I was,
But, had to
someone
go
brought up, and I
get it.
can't find it, but Angela, remember when I brought it to you last at the board
Yeah.
meeting about?
Yes, about the striping.
The
peeling.
striping coming
I
up?
went to look,
Yes,
and I
we
couldn't
need
take
to
a
bring
picture
them
of it.
back out.
But where is this
There was a
at?
warranty issue, you wanted to know how,
There's a
like the
couple-
There are a
warranty.
couple? I
on it.
There are a
couldn't
couple
find them.
spots, and on the stop
I
bars.
couldn't find them
There's a
either.
couple
I
of
was
stop
trying.
bars on the right side as you're driving, south on, Pebblebrook, that they're almost worn out. And I think it was one of the streets they had to come back and redo because they forgot, maybe two of them. And they're not right, they're really not right.
They did it, they really did a terrible job, they overlaid a lot of things, it wasn't a smooth line. You could see where they did so much, and then they went back and did it over again, and there's double layers, and they just really didn't do a very good job at all.
It
So what
looked
do we
like they were in a
have to do,
rush to get
walk
in and out. But, I mean, how do you miss streets? They actually skip streets somehow. And there's a couple that literally it is faded. It's
We paid
fake.
big bucks to make
I
sure
know,
we
we
got the
did.
glass tack, whatever
No, the thermoplastic that they
Yeah.
put down.
So it's not sticking, because somebody said it was peeling, but I couldn't see.
I didn't see
I didn't
peeling,
see
I
peeling
just,
either.
I saw it just wearing away, like.
Someone was saying that it was actually flapping, but I don't know where it was at.
I drove through and I didn't see it the day you mentioned
Right.
it, and I'm like, I was gonna take pictures, so I could bring
Just
it to
send
the
a letter
meeting.
from the association, and I'll attach it to a
So
letter
you
to send to
literally have
them
to walk
about
the
the
street
warranty
like,
claim.
oh.
Take a look at
Alright.
it, well,
Mr. Vice President.
Yeah.
You can hand support to handle that?
Well, I walked it on, I walked on the different area.
While you're here, because I don't get a chance to talk too much, how are we making out with that that project, testing the rains and water levels and all that sort of thing?
It's recording daily, and they're kind of waiting for a big rain event for the rains to start this summer, because they're working on a hydraulic study of the whole system. And, but those are really to support that engineering study. So those recorders run 24/7 on levels.
But they're not recording nothing right now because it's dry.
Right. And,
Our drains in our roads and streets and what now? They're in pretty good shape, or?
Should be.
Alright, so that's.
Find out when it starts raining.
No, that's what I'm talking about, they were supposed to come back and look at them.
Yeah, well, we don't have a maintenance contract in place, right? What they're doing right now is going through community by community, and they're finishing up Gateway Greens, and they have a $200,000 contract that they're going into 11 communities and cleaning out all the storm drains that had a 40% blockage.
Did they come into our community again, or do we
No.
pay for it ourselves?
No, they
We
haven't-
paid for it to get the test.
The previous year, I know, but they never came back into us.
What about cutting the opening in the weir bigger? I thought that was on the schedule.
Yeah, they should, probably next 3 or 4 weeks, they'll be coming out to do that and widening the canal and getting
Okay.
that back out.
Yeah, the canal, I know you, that's my next question is gonna be.
And that contract's been let, and notice to proceed's going.
But that's on the outside of our property though, right?
Yeah.
It is, across the FPL property.
Yeah.
Thing. It probably starts at the beginning of the B1 track.
Yeah, I know exactly where it's at. What about the lift station?
Lift station, we're waiting on the Thompson pump that was originally scheduled to be delivered in January.
Right.
And they've had it back ordered 2 times, and I called the fella, it's actually a pump coming out of Japan, and he said if he would've known it was so long, they would've eaten the $2,000 cost for more expensive pump, but as of now, it's scheduled for a May 22nd delivery date. So we're just waiting. I called the guy and asked him last week, because I said, don't tell me we're behind a bigger customer. And he said, no, the motors that we use in the ground units are different than the mobile ones. And it's a Yanmar, and he goes, they've told us 2 times, let us know when it was supposed to come in. So as of right now, it's on May 22nd. And it was originally in December when it was supposed to be done.
Right, because I was expecting by now we'd have also that parking spot would be done over there.
So we're waiting to drop it in and, get the
Yeah,
motor
sure.
control hooked back up, and we're just waiting on that pump.
It's not like we need it right now, so it's, it is what it is.
But, so that's why we're behind schedule. So we really can't do anything. till we
6
drop
months
that
delay.
pump in.
It's a 6-month delay almost.
Yeah.
Anything you have for us that,
No, there's nothing outstanding.
anybody else have a question, Chris?
What was the date on the weir? It's not done?
May
but what is it?
22nd.
No, that was the lift station. A few weeks, 3 weeks.
The weir, they'll be out there in the next.
In May.
Let's say, the next 3
Oh, I'm
weeks.
sorry.
they'll be working on that. And it's just gonna take a concrete saw and open it up, and then we're gonna flow way across the canal that's so filled in and plain.
What's he gonna do, open it up to actually be 6 by 3 feet?
Original.
We're not taking the top section, just making it go away.
So when that's complete, who's notified that the job's done?
If you wanna
Or
know,
the
we're glad to
HOA?
let you know.
I'll know when it is.
You'll see it.
I'll see it. I still
Yeah,
go,
they-
I still
they
go
sh-
back there.
They should be out there, like I said, in the next 3 or 4 weeks. They've been given a notice to proceed. And the contractor that got the main job has subbed that part out to Matt Tower, cutting the structure. Because they're also doing one in Hampton Park that's the same way, it wasn't done correctly.
But I thought theirs was.
You know what the funny thing is?
above.
It's not that it wasn't done correctly. If you really look at the weir, it was done correctly. they added,
Yeah, somebody filled it in.
no, they added.
Yeah,
This,
they say.
they added that small little section
And filled it in. Yeah.
after it was already finished.
Yeah.
What was that about?
You could have, I could have taken it out,
Well, you probably knocked it out.
knocked it out.
I got a 20 sledge, we could probably knock that baby out.
I bet you could probably knock it, because it's not, it's concrete on concrete, there's
I know
there's
how
nothing
much.
bracing it.
How hard can it, it's not rebar or anything.
No.
No, there's nothing there, it should take, an hour to go take it out.
How much you paying them? I would've done it for half the price.
You have to have $1 million insurance to touch anything, so.
Oh, I do have $1 million insurance, but not for construction.
And $1 million vehicle, and $1 million liability, and workers' comp.
So they will be, they'll run a transit on that drainage ditch, make sure it does pitch, because I've not had confidence in that all along. It always seemed like there was something not right there. But, and they will widen it, and then you're gonna have a berm along it, so it doesn't, water doesn't run into
And
it.
we're gonna make it back to the original permit conditions, depth and width. So,
And to be honest with you, I don't think it ever met the original permit, because from day one anyway.
sure.
Because there was nothing had as-built, many things were not built to the projection or plan. All right, that's about all I got for you, Chris, I
Another
appreciate your
question.
time.
Chris, I have another question. On the striping that we're having a problem with, do you know what the warranty is?
No, I don't have to look at it.
Actually, as I recall, it was a year, I thought.
And when was it done? 3 months ago?
No, it was more
Probably
than
about
that.
7 or 8 months.
Yeah, it's less than a year, but it was more
So
than
we
that.
need to get like on this because we're
Yeah.
running out of time now.
Well, we're gonna, we want a letter from us, both for the.
Yeah, with the
thing about
locations of where it is.
Pressure treating on the sidewalks and cleaning, and can you contact him, or do we have to let you know about what?
Give them for a pen,
There's a letter sitting right there under that microphone.
a letter.
Was anything there when I got here? I saw things over there.
They probably do.
There
Here's
was
some
stuff
things,
over there.
Chris.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and whatever you want, I bring him in and talk to him and sit down and, make a little map or have him write it out in the description, and he's just gonna send a proposal over here. We'll
Okay.
process it.
Okay.
But meanwhile, then you will contact the fellow who did the thermoplastic on the.
After he
Just
gets
send him a letter, warranty
we'll send him
claim.
a letter.
No, we don't have to send a letter for that, though.
That's what he was asking for.
No,
You
no.
just send it to me, and then I'll attach it to what
Yeah, I
I'm
was
saying.
saying-
We're the ones that pay him.
Right.
But to get the ball rolling.
Ultimately,
we
the
have to
money
send a
comes from
letter
over
first,
here,
right?
though.
Right, oh, yeah. But the contract and all the sign,
I understand.
we have to be the conduit.
I was just explaining that, and we were discussing that. All right, thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
So in that letter, will you need pictures? Because you were very specific.
Yeah, I think we probably should go out and find some, take some pictures so we have it with that.
That's something you.
Complaint
Well, I can
just
eat- yeah, I
for
can
the
I
eat
don't
warranty?
wanna do it. For the pictures, someone else can do the pictures.
Well, how about?
It's not that I don't wanna do it.
Sheds?
No, you have to go to church.
Yeah, I can do it now.
Just have
Because
shit.
I didn't see exactly what you were talking about. I was ready to take a picture, and I'm like, I don't see it. I'm not-
There are crosswalks that are not right, and a couple of stop bars that are not right, and I agree with that. And I don't mean crosswalks across Pebblebrook, I mean on the side streets. Pebblebrook is.
Yeah, they did do some of the side streets and all, makes it tough.
All right, so we got a couple of things discussed there.
I think,
I think the big question now is to come back to the budget meeting, when do we want to do it?
Take
Can
lunch.
can I ask one more question? I should have brought it up. About the cleaning of the storm drains that we had done on our own because it was almost like an emergency for our community. Has there been any type of a
We didn't clean them.
Still-
We had someone come out and inspect them,
inspect them?
because there were people that were concerned about it.
And that's what Gateway Services is doing for other communities now.
And-
Has there been a process, other than being told no from day one, that we can send some type of written notice to see if we can still put that in the budget to get reimbursed for?
I did ask, and it wasn't well received.
So if we put something in writing and we say, this is what we would like in the process. instead of-
Sometimes, and I hear what you're saying, but sometimes there are other ways to make that happen that aren't quite so direct. So we'll see what we can do. But I agree, that's something,
I just
I'm
think
not
time is
happy
just
about it.
going by, and I hear that other communities are being done, I'm thinking, well, we should have been reimbursed for that, that's all I think in the back of my mind.
And Margaret and I have talked about it.
Okay,
Let me just say this, that we flooded worse than anybody. I don't care what they say. Nobody flooded as bad. I know Hampton Park had problems, but nobody was bad as us. And we really did not get any taken care of the way we should have. This is way too long to even get that opening opened up and.
We're just like.
I mean, we got lucky, I mean, I wouldn't say we got lucky, I don't think we'll ever get,
Well, that was an unusual situation, those two bad storms, within 2 weeks of each other, that was unusual. And it was a wet summer even prior to that time, where records were getting set every month. But, in any case, do the best we can. Anybody else have anything?
As we move forward, well, I thought Elle was gonna be here because there's a spot there where they did the lake restoration that there's gotta be a missing
I wish you had
irrigation
brought that
pump.
up.
Yeah, well, he probably would, I sent an email to her this morning, and it looked like maybe somebody, but if you go by where they just did the grass by the 2 trees, it's a big brown spot. Everything else looks green, but it's a brown spot. So we need to make sure that they get that. I hate to see them lose that grass
Mhm.
at this point. And then I think the other thing, I've talked about this before, but the intersection at Greenstone and Pebblebrook, those bushes are a complete traffic hazard.
They need to be cut back and trimmed.
Well, they need to be taken out, because I've talked to Al, and they've trimmed them back down a little bit, but it don't take long, and right now, you pull up there, even
It's
in
hard
my
to see cars
SUV,
coming,
you can't see.
especially because there's no stop sign on that side. I
Yeah,
agree,
well,
and you have
well,
a couple
and-
of units that drive fast.
And so, you know, people coming down Greenstone, come around, they got very poor drivers on Greenstone, because they always cut that corner there to hit people.
After a certain
and then-
point, beyond Tom, it drops off quickly.
Yeah, well, but then,
The
the
quality
thing
of
I
drive.
saw the other day is probably just as scary for me, is people coming up Pebblebrook, turning down Greenstone, and they look over at that stop sign, and there's nobody there, and they just keep on going. One guy almost hit a car head on, because he went around that curve, all of a sudden there's a car there. So I think, my idea would be to do what they did on the other side of, Stone Valley Loop area there, cut those bushes down and put something in that's smaller so people can see. Now, you can see going down Greenstone, if you stop at the stop bar like you're supposed to, you've gotta go all the way out, almost into Greenstone to see up that road.
And that's not the only intersection we have this problem. There are a couple
Yeah,
other
well-
intersections that have bushes that are somewhat restrictive when you're trying to get out onto
That's
Pebblebrook.
true, but
I
that doesn't,
agree.
it still is, when you have a crash right there, it's gonna be considered part of the cause. It's gonna be a contributing factor to that crash, and there could be a liability issue because they're supposed to be able to see that. If I was investigating a crash there, that's one of the first things I'd put down as a contributing factor, is overgrown bushes.
Now, didn't you bring it up at the last meeting?
We mentioned she was gonna trim them down,
She was
but
gonna trim 'em,
they.
but they haven't been trimmed?
Oh, yeah, they've been trimmed,
Okay.
but they grow. They grow.
There might be a
just as
couple
bad,
that
yeah.
need to be removed and change the planting.
Yeah, I mean, just change the makeup of the
Ask
thing.
and see if Elle is in the building.
I'll tell. we're-
Yeah, I know that Kathy and I were talking about some of these issues, and
I will, Mayscape has been out to look at the water. They were there.
Okay, I thought that someone was there because there was
Yeah,
some water
they were
out
looking-
there.
They were looking at the irrigation. I can answer that one, right?
Yeah.
okay, yes, absolutely.
Okay, tomorrow morning when we go out, we'll look at Pebblestone and, Gemstone and look about changing it. How's that, tomorrow morning? Because tomorrow's Thursday.
Pebblestone,
That's what he's, Pebblebrook.
Pebblebrook, and
Pebblebrook and
Pebblebrook, I
Greenstone.
got
and Greenstone.
Pebblebrook.
And Greenstone.
You know Wally on the corner, it's
Right.
by his
Greenstone,
property.
yeah.
Right, I got it, Pebblebrook and Greenstone, that's right.
Greenstone.
Okay.
I got it on my paper, right?
Okay,
Okay, so when we go out tomorrow, I will make
Yeah.
sure we stop, we'll look,
Yeah.
we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
they trim them down okay, and it's okay for about a week, but then
Wow.
they just grow. I mean,
I was
Look
like-
at
and speak of the devil,
You in?
hey,
We go out tomorrow, we have to look at Greenstone and Pebblebrook.
I think just a new design on that.
Yeah,
Because I
there,
guess even trimming it.
there was some discussion on that corner, Ed, if you wanna step up, and I don't even know if that mic's on or not.
Okay.
Apparently, there is this goes back to day one, because when Pebblebrook meets Greenstone and Stone Valley,
Yeah.
there's only a stop sign on one side. And part of the problem is they put that 40th house in on Greenstone there, and there's no place to put the stop sign on the other side. And I brought this up day one, way back. even before the turnover, in fact. And, but what's happening is that there's a restriction of visibility. And we need to probably take some bushes out on that corner, the corner of Pebblebrook and Greenstone, and then get lower things planted on that corner.
Okay.
Because we've had some close calls.
That
Okay.
design you have on the other corner,
Well, Pebble,
that Pebble Brook
On
and
the Stone Valley
Loop
corner?
Yeah, on the
side,
other
yeah.
end of the loop, yeah.
That looks
That one
pretty
works?
nice. Oh, yeah, because those,
it
as
does
long as
not
they stay
create,
low. Yeah.
okay, it does not create a line of sight issue for you?
No,
I
no.
think so.
Okay, so it's on the Greenstone side of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
intersection. 10-4.
I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
then it would match.
Right.
Yeah. And the biggest problem is that we just have bad drivers on Greenstone.
I don't think it's restricted to Greenstone.
We do have a couple of
And
really bad ones.
no-
Yeah, you got two bad ones, right?
Nor is it restricted to Stoneybrook,
That's for sure.
or Date Lake for that matter, so. Okay.
Otherwise, how are things going in general? We haven't talked to you in a while.
Just fine, we do have a couple of areas out there, and I don't know if Kathy's mentioned them or not, but we do have a couple of areas that we're looking at to, have replaced under warranty.
Okay.
In particular,
Weatherstone
is it Weatherstone
And
and Ivory Stone intersections? The Exora that we put in has not responded well.
One of the
It-
things,
it-
I'm not sure is getting proper watering in there.
Well, we noticed a few issues that we
Yeah.
didn't care for, so we're working with Mainscape, and, you know, the next thing is, okay, if Exora's not gonna work, what will we use there that we can keep low, so that we don't create a line of sight issue? Adds a little bit of color or, you know, an interesting texture to the landscape, and again, keep it, you know, in a safe zone, so. Those two intersections, we've not been happy with since it was planted, and we're, like I say, we're working with Mainscape to see what we can do about that, and redo them again, but, you know.
I'll say it again, though, Exoras are nice looking plants. I happen to like them. They flower a lot. They have color
And
a
that was
lot.
the point, was to
And,
try to add some pop of just some points of color in
But
the
it just seemed to
landscape.
me that like that, I don't know what's going on with the irrigation system right now, if we're having problems, if it's not programmed properly again. But it didn't seem like there was a lot of watering going on over
Yeah,
there. And,
we felt the same way, honestly,
Okay.
as well as a couple of other issues that we felt that was along with the, and sometimes plants just don't do well, but it's hard to see such a large planting of them and none of them do well, so.
When they took the ficus tree out there in the reserve area behind
In that common
in
area?
that common area, I know they go in and they chip it down and stuff, but the last time I was back there, a couple different times, it looks terrible. I mean, the ground, they just left it there and sand.
Where they
whatever.
ground it up, yeah,
Yeah, but they ground, and they spread, but it just looks terrible back there.
gotcha. Well, you know, there's no grass back there, it's all
Well, there's a lot of weeds.
because that ficus tree, remember how big it was?
Right.
There was no light penetrating.
Well, I think
probably
if
sucked
they,
up a lot of the water too.
just if
And
they
they
took
suck.
some rakes and went through it a little bit, because it just looks like, it just looks bad.
Well, I think what happened, I remember you had said you're gonna ask Mainscape if they could do a little rake in the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just something to
I don't
smooth it
know.
out and make it look
It
decent.
wasn't part of the contract, but it was something they might do for us. I don't know.
Yeah, they'd probably charge us for that, but, you know,
Yeah,
it
no.
should, it wouldn't be huge, but
The,
well, thank you. We'll take a walk back there tomorrow.
The,
and look at
okay.
that too.
the other tree that got taken down during the hurricane, again behind Stone Valley, there's still a pile of whatever out there. And I thought that was supposed to be cleaned up.
That first ficus tree.
Well, the
Yeah,
one
the
up,
first one that fell, the one that fell that got cut up for the hurricane.
one near
That was
Janice's
never
house,
burned down.
that pile. They took a tree out, and I don't know if they ground it out yet or not, but it still is out there. It just, again, it's just sticking up, looks terrible out there.
Yeah, I thought the original bid was for, removing the ficus.
I think it did.
and-
Yes, it
and
did.
grinding.
It did.
Yeah.
It did, it sure did.
Yeah.
Yep,
It-
and if that's not been done, then they owe us one.
And we-
Besides
They
taking
owe
care
us
of
one.
what they should do, and maybe can break up a little bit too.
And we have a weed problem on the backside of Stone Valley Loop with those people that go along that way. And most of the weeds are coming in from your area. Can you cut those weeds down so we don't have to spray so much? That's our, we've been out looking because we have a combination of overwatering, which is bringing out weeds. And then most of our fronts are pretty good, and along the backside here, down straight here. But then when you come around the backside there, we're looking, and there's a lot of weeds and stuff there, of course, that just kind of blow back up into our
It's
property.
that open section that's adjacent to
Yeah.
Lincoln Park.
And we spray it a couple times a year, and
Never been pretty
just
bad.
really don't do really well, so.
That
I don't know
area
if you-
between Hampton Park and Stoneybrook is.
Well,
No, this
well,
is
it's
the same
over
place
by-
we talked about.
Yeah, we're talking between Stone Valley and Ivory Stone, I
Ivory.
think. And-
Yeah.
But at the Hampton Park end of it though,
Yeah,
it's
well,
always been kinda junky back there, but I don't know what we could really do about it.
well, the weeds I have right now are dollar weeds, which is coming from a lot of
That's
moisture.
overwater.
I've cut back on my irrigation because we need irrigation on the other end. I think some other folks right there too have done the same thing.
Mhm.
But the weeds that we have are coming behind right where that ficus tree was all the way around that way. And so again, if there's anything, I don't even know if you can spray for weeds in those kind of areas or not. But I think-
Yeah, we can, that is not actually a preserve area.
Okay,
It's not it's not a mitigation area to
Okay.
the water management district. It is a preserved area
Okay.
because they were required to set aside X amount of green space
Mhm.
for developing X amount of acres into
For water
residential
disbursement
property.
and collection, wasn't it? Something like that?
Yeah, and, yeah, it is a drainage, there's a drainage swell that runs down all
Yeah.
through it. But again, you know, there's preserved areas that are not mitigation areas,
okay.
that they can do things in that you would not do in the mitigation conservation areas. Now,
Again,
that
that's-
being,
if
I
something can
don't-
be done, fine, if not, there.
Yeah, I don't know that that is, I don't think that was ever sodded back there. I believe that that's a mixed turf.
I
And-
think you're correct.
Yeah.
And that might be, that's part of the issue with that, is because like when the Bahia grass goes dormant, it goes dormant and
Yeah.
it browns out and all you see is weeds.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And I'll tell you.
And if
that
we
I-
went in and treated weeds, even the Bahia will not come back.
Mm, no,
It's
everything.
just like this side of Griffin up here, if we, you know, there's Ricardia, there's all sorts of, the Ricardia is the one that you'll see that gets all the, white flowers on it,
Yeah.
and it, some people call it the Florida snow. But,
Weeds.
but it's loaded with it, but if we went out and sprayed it, then come summertime, you'd have nothing but a bare area. You just, because you will kill everything there.
I understand.
We can take a look at it
Yeah,
though.
if you would,
And
yeah.
if there
You and
is
I
irrig-
talked about this years ago, saying, as long as it's green, we're happy.
Yeah, oh, I am, I'm very happy. We
Well-
got people that they don't want this kind of grass or
The
that
thing
kind
we
of grass.
can do though is check irrigation. I don't know that there's irrigation back there in
I
that
don't think
common
there is.
area.
No, there is no, it's just from our
Yeah.
Our
I
villas
see.
have irrigation
Yeah, that
that go
blows
back,
over
they
there
go
in the
back
winter
quite a ways,
something,
they
yeah.
go back further past way past the
Okay,
top
I was gonna say I would check on having that reduced, but,
Yeah.
because
Well,
they shouldn't be irrigating that area. Again, you just really don't irrigate a Bahia area.
Yeah.
I know that, and this is probably Kathy has mentioned to you or will, when they were working on that lake that's contained by Stone Valley, they really did push that one tree over.
Yeah, she has pictures.
And I know, and I'm aware of that, and I just want
We're
to
watching.
reiterate, you know, that
Mhm.
if that thing has a problem, you know,
Yeah.
we know
Yes,
why.
we know who was responsible.
They
for
pretty
it.
much kept it in the dirt, as far as the bottom,
Yeah.
even though it got tilted over, there was still dirt around the roots, and I was always
Right.
my understanding, if the roots got out, got too much, they would go, but
Yeah.
I don't know how it's
And
gonna
I think
go.
it was probably pretty much still contained in the ball, so it wasn't
Yeah,
like you
yeah,
ripped up roots
yeah,
on the tree,
yeah.
most likely. anyway.
We're going to keep an eye on it
Yeah.
though. I mean, those you can plant them a little bit deep, but you don't wanna plant them too deep because then it invites, fungus and rot inside the trunk.
Sure.
They take it, they'll take a little bit of stacking around them, but not too much.
Well, they've already been moved, what, 3 times?
Yeah, twice.
Twice.
Now, there is also, it's an annual event almost, we go around and look at the lakes along Pebblebrook, and I think there's a couple more dead trees out there along.
There is,
Yeah,
yes,
so
there's
we
a couple,
probably
I
need-
know there's a couple down there.
Yeah, take them out.
We just, didn't I say just the other day, I'm like, oh, there's 2 more dead pine
Yeah.
trees, we gotta get those out.
Well, the pines, the pine bark beetle, that's.
Yeah, and actually that they came in real heavy after the hurricane and they hit the trees because now the trees were stressed.
Yeah.
They don't attack a healthy, happy pine tree. They only attack those that are stressed. And they can pick up on those pheromones from miles away.
That's amazing.
I mean, I can take mine out of my backyard myself, right?
Yes, you can.
I mean, it's getting.
Yes, you can take that out of your
Not
backyard.
without our
With
approval.
HOA approval, you
No,
can.
it's on
Well-
Public Services property.
As far as I'm concerned,
Well, he's gonna take a tree out?
She is giving you her permission.
I couldn't take mine out,
But
I
let's
got
get
our
back-
approval.
well, that's what Kathy's saying, you need our approval.
It just fell on its own.
Yeah, exactly. All right, anybody have anything
Yeah,
for,
I do.
go ahead.
Not behind my house, the next house, going towards the curb,
Yeah, I took it out of that year.
there's a dead tree. I think it's dead. And it's not a real big tree, it might be so round.
In the common area behind you?
Yeah,
Behind the house, to the right, to the left.
just looking at my house.
If you're standing at the back of your back door.
Left.
Okay.
You can, it's, to me, it looks dead.
We'll have a look at that. If we're gonna check the common area, we'll check that in also.
Janice, you got anything for?
As I was driving over here, there was a little Mainscape panel truck parked out on Pebblebrook, sweeping all the dirt out of the back of it into the middle of the street.
Well, that's because he was putting sod down on our corner of Stoneybrook and,
Yeah, but all
I
that,
mean,
all
Stone
that
Valley.
grass goes into our lakes.
He was
Well, I'm
parked
just
on the
saying,
street,
he was-
pushing the dirt crap out into the pavement.
Is that still there?
I'm sure it is. I'm sure he swept it up.
you know,
put it
on
in
the
a can
corner
somewhere.
where it was all.
That, yeah, I
that's
saw
where
Isaac,
he
I
was
saw
putting-
Isaac out there this morning, he was checking it out, must have given the facade
All right.
in. Well, it wasn't him that the
That
facade.
was this afternoon on the way to the meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I will.
Does the audience have any comments
The audience has been getting a complaint
about?
about the stop sign at Bluestone. Are you going to move forward with that stop sign? We're waiting for an accident to happen. They're more concerned because there's no stop sign, but there's a crosswalk there.
This would be more of a.
A crosswalk, actually,
But
at
you
least
have to-
when somebody's there, they're supposed to stop for them.
I know that, you know that.
But you know what? You put a stop sign on, they may not stop anyway. But as we know, and there's been a great deal of discussion about, you just can't put a stop sign on.
I told them that, but I told them I would bring it back to you
Okay?
and see.
Mike was
We had this
gonna try
conversation
to
2
say-
months ago.
yeah.
I know, but I'm getting,
Months ago, we tried, and the fact is, it came back to us, it was gonna be a big deal.